Welcome to The Brief, on another session of Block Chat. This time, we have someone who's so special, Pekka Kelkka. Again, it's Denis Petrovicic, Makrim Hani, and today it's Pekka Kelkka, Pappa Blockchain. Let's understand from Pappa Blockchain why is his name Pappa Blockchain, how did he start, and what is he all about for those who don't know him. Denis, how are you?
Doing great.
Hi everyone, Pekka, how are you?
Welcome, Pekka, to the show.
I'm also all yours.
I'm also good. Thanks, Makram, for inviting me to this podcast. The question was how Pappa Blockchain was born. Well, first of all, the original name of Pappa Blockchain is Crypto Trader Pappa Blockchain. Crypto Trader Pappa Blockchain, which is nothing actually really suits me well. But those days, which was 2017, I changed my Instagram account from my name, Pekka Kelkka, which is a Finnish name, by the way, I'm originally from Finland, into Crypto Trader Pappa Blockchain because I started to be full-time on this scene. Well, I started already a year before that. But yeah, since those days, I've been also introducing myself and people know me on name Pappa Blockchain. Of course, now if you look my Instagram, I removed the crypto trader from the name because it has nothing to do with me. I'm not a trader at all. I don't know how to trade. I'm a hodler. If you guys absolutely know what hodling is,
sure.
I'm a hodler. Yes, I'm not a trader. Yeah, that's the start of Pappa Blockchain itself.
Perfect. And what are you all about? So, look, people who know you, you're a very interesting person who understands and loves, enthusiastic actually about everything blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. Actually, I've been with you speaking in conferences, and you grab the crowd in a very interesting way. What are you all about? So today, what is the dearest part of the tech to your heart, and what do you do on a daily basis?
Well, if we want to start like on the CV, curriculum vitae order, now I'm advising 6 Web3 projects. I'm also part of the operational organization on the 7th one. Those 6 ones are very dear to me. Well, the 7th ones also, but the 6 ones are Web3 projects. Well, they are developing platforms that will include the 3 major elements, which are non-fungible tokens. Some of them play to earn mechanisms. And of course, everybody is starting to they're trying to build and develop a metaverse, which all these elements will run into. So I'm an advisor. I don't have an operational role with any of these platforms, but I really like the enthusiasm what these guys are having on the belief and the time and energy they put on this scene. And when it comes to what I believe in and why I'm so 100% or 110% on this is that because I came across with Ethereum white paper 2016, and I started to understand while researching it 2 and 3 months, not eating or sleeping, so I was focusing on it. Understanding the opportunity was DLT technology, which is decentralized ledger technology, removing the unnecessary third parties on transactions and contracting and everything. It was just really, really amazing thing for me because I come from the enterprise software world, already starting in 94 as my first online company, 94, early days of internet. And since those days, I've been on enterprise application software. So the last 6 years, full-time on blockchain cryptos. I'm a big believer on this, not just that I believe in, because I've been researching every day. If I'm not in your podcast, Makram, I'm probably researching something online.
Or in Marina.
I live in Marina, yes, Dubai Marina, yes. And yeah, and then another thing that I still want to add, if you don't mind, is that this what we have as in blockchain, this decentralized technology, it will be more important, much more important to the whole society than internet is, because now we are democratizing the monetary systems and currency systems and financial systems, and everybody has an opportunity to join this on several different roles, and that's another like 3 days podcast if you want to go to this in more details. But on basic terms, this is how it is. This will be, as I've written, well, some interviews I've been saying that this will be 100 times bigger and more important to the whole society than internet is.
And Dennis, what's your thoughts about this? So I've heard something for Pekka talking about this, and he's saying Web3 will be 100 times bigger than the internet. And then I curiously saw a comment of someone I know, and he knows what he's talking about. So I read it, and then it drifted me to read another, and people were saying, how can it be 100% bigger than the container it sits within? Now, definitely Pekka talked about it because it runs on the internet, yeah? What's your views on this, Dennis? Why and how?
Well, I think there was this amazing talk by Don Tapscott that probably everybody that ever researched blockchain watched at least once. And he talks about the internet of information versus the internet of value, just trying to simplify Web3 basically through that line of thought. And if you see that what humanity or humankind is doing, the most important thing is trade. And that trade might be trade of goods or through different currencies, or basically transferring value from one entity to the other. And we're doing that still very much offline. What we're doing online right now, most of the times, is just presenting a transaction and not executing it. While Web3 basically brings everything live and into a network. And I think that's why we can state that this is going to be 100 times bigger, because what is being transferred is 100 times bigger than just mere information. So, yeah, I'm perfectly...
Pekka, you I believe, had a view on that, on why is it 100 times bigger. Now, I do agree that probably the impact, when you say the 100 times bigger, it means the impact on us and on our lives, it's 100 times bigger. And exactly what Dennis says, it's transactional, and that makes it more impactful, and it triggers and targets people's day-to-day errands. What's your view on that? Why is it 100 times bigger?
Continue a little bit deeper and wider what Dennis just said. First of all, it's the ownership thing. Now, internet is owned by a few guys only. They just not own the internet, but they also own the users, people like us, because they own our data. They control our data. They manipulate our data. They decide on our behalf what we do online, even if we don't know it. They do that because they're using the big data in a way that they're connecting the dots, so they know our next decision even we don't know yet. And this is so dangerous. And these guys are not just they're making a huge business out of it. The biggest businesses, the biggest companies, corporates in the world, they are these IT companies. They are Facebook, Amazon, Google, and they all now own our data. And what blockchain is doing, and here comes the 100 times bigger and 100 times more valuable and important. Now we own our data. We own the network. We can position ourselves on different roles and positions on the network. And we are controlling everything.
So I'm sure I don't want to cut you here, but a very small intersection, because I'm sure everyone listening to you now is asking the same question. How do we control our data today? How does tomorrow, if Web3 sits on the internet is owned by those few guys, controlled by those few guys, similarly to it, all the data that we have and our lives, and they can create using AI and all our behavioral data, they can create a behavioral DNA as a pattern, and then in the future expect what we want to do, exactly what you said. How can we control our data?
Now it comes to the very fact which Dennis just pointed out. It's all about value. It's all about money. And when it comes to that, unfortunately, this is how it is. But who owns the money and how distributed the money is, And when we're talking about money, we are not talking the fiat money. We are talking crypto money. We are talking decentralized money that runs on the blockchain. And now we need to understand the fundamental what there is on a blockchain. It is our money on the blockchain is data. And there needs to be a certain amount of data, i.e. our money, our cryptos, needs to be on the blockchain to be secure and decentralized. And then you can position yourself on different roles in there. You can, if you can be part of these servers, these nodes on the network, you can position yourself as a validator or delegate your data on the validators that validate the transactions. Everything is possible. You don't need to have any kind of technical understanding to do that. And you can start to earn, which is your money. You don't need bank. You don't need these third parties. You don't need a central bank. You don't need government. You can be part of this, position yourself on this decentralized network. And then, of course, we discussed earlier a little bit before we started this podcast, Dennis, about the decentralized autonomous organization. You can also be part of the decision making by owning this data, these cryptocurrencies, these tokens, coins on the network.
In other words, governance tokens is what you're talking about, similar to somebody who owns BST today, yeah, the Blocksquare token.
Mm-hmm. Well, the DAO is a little bit different animal than what we talking about these other platforms, and that's, if you want to go this direction on this podcast, I'm happy to do that. And Dennis just mentioned that this is something that he really is into now. Maybe Dennis can take a first shot on this topic. But that's what I try to explain is that all these things, these items that today are issues on the internet, they are with us people, normal people. We are owning the network. We are owning the value of the network. We are transacting on this network with the value that we have, and we will get rewarded. Not banks on it, companies, not anybody, this kind of centralized organization. They are not rewarding us. The network, the decentralized environment is rewarding us by giving us assets back with an interest when we are on these networks. And this is so amazing.
It's like, if you compare, like, you have in the startup world, you have the network effects, right? This is a very important thing when investing in a new company that's forming. How network effects will be generated. Now, in the early days of the internet, there was not many services. So, if you would be investing in a Facebook at its beginning, the investors that invested there in the equity of the company obviously had the biggest upside, but not the users themselves who were providing actual value to end network effects. They were driving the network effects, not the money that was poured in. Now here, it's different. It's a reverse IPO. So with the Web 2, and even before, value for the masses was opened only on the IPO level. Here instead, companies do essentially an IPO through a rewards mechanism, creating network effect, but also rewarding those who create them. So, the value is being captured by the user base at the early end, and not at the end of when, all the investors and VCs who are essentially government-backed, institution-backed. So, the money always comes from the same sources.
So you're going back to democratizing, in other words, democratizing power here, yeah? So yes, rather than the owner of the data, the user having this data empowers an individual or a company or organization or institution to utilize all the mass data and analyze it and mine it and get value out of it. You're saying that that individual will retain that power, will not anymore second it to a third party to do all of this with it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if I may, only shortly.
It was Dennis's, but tell me.
No, Dennis, continue. I try to keep that thought in my head.
Yeah. So yeah. In short, yes. If we suppose, let's say, we have this ideal world where all the projects that are being built are actually being built, and we take scam stuff out of it, and let's say that there's a higher rate of success, so that if you invest your time and effort in those new protocols, new networks, you're providing actual value that will, grow in time. Of course, in the actual world, you miss and you nail a few, but you miss a lot. So that's another thing, and that's another topic. But yes, it would be an analogy would be, Facebook is being formed, and if you bring advertisers to the network, you get rewarded for it. But you don't get rewarded with a fee on their transaction. You get rewarded in equity. And if you, I don't know, use the Facebook, if you're a user, you drive other users to it, you again get more equity in it.
So it's the theory. It's the theory of we own it all. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's the theory of we own it all. The collective of us own the collective of all the benefit in it.
Exactly, and it's much more powerful than centralized ways of building new services and applications. Because why is it hard for companies in Web2 to compete with Google, Amazon, and Facebook, and why they get bought out eventually or blocked? Is because it's crowded, and you need to have a lot of monetary power to get your word out there, to get discovered. With Web3, things are being destabilized because communities are being formed, and the core power of a new protocol is in the community. The more people get involved, the lower the cost, in a way, to market your service or app or protocol, because you have a powerful group of people that can do a lot by doing little, in a way, just maybe liking a post or resharing it, and they're doing that because they are incentivized to make it successful. So it becomes
Pekka,
a bit different.
I'll go back to your idea that I disrupted you and sent it back to Dennis on. What's the thought? I believe you've built it now on.
Well, I forgot it. I forgot that already. Okay. But yes, but I fully agree what Dennis is saying. But now also this is, to me, it maybe sound a little bit harsh, but on blockchain and crypto, on this decentralized world, there is one killer application, and that's value, that's money, that's crypto money, not fiat money, the money we have on this network, period. And how do you get the access to this? You have your mechanisms, and that's fully decentralized. You don't need to ask, you don't need to apply to participate on these transactions or be part of the network. You don't need to have a permission from managers or directors, CEO or board, whatever. You can join it on the terms that have been written on this beautiful application, which is called smart contract. And when you apply to this rules and terms and conditions, what there is, you be part of the network. Simple as this. And this is so amazing. This is really changing everything we understand.
Where do you see this, Pekka, taking us? Where is it taking us?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I'm saying people all the time is that decentralization is a process. So today we don't really have a 100% decentralized anything, and maybe in the future we never will have fully decentralized, that everything is decentralized. But to get best out of this decentralization, you need to understand the opportunities it will give you on each and every phase. And today already we have this phase that to be part of this, you don't need the company, you don't need the bank, you don't need the government, you don't need the country. You just be part of it the way you want. Of course, you need to educate yourself. You need to listen to these broadcasts. You need to go to the web and research and talk to the people. Go to events, talk with experts, listen to the experts, and then don't believe everybody or anybody as what they say. Combine the information from here and there, learn, educate yourself, and then join. And if you do it this way, this is beautiful environment. This is best you can have in the world.
Pekka, we proved to the people today, hopefully, that why is Web 3.0 bigger than the internet in your view and in the views of many others. You're involved in many interesting projects. Some of those interesting projects are NFT projects, like the 7th project, I believe, that you mentioned now. And there is other projects that you are involved in that are Web3 projects. Which one is the project that you feel can materialize and be commercially most viable today?
I don't want to, list in any particular order what I'm involved with now. But if you think about the basic fundamentals, what we need to have on a project. First of all, all the projects needs to have a great technology, great platform. Without the technology, without platform, you cannot build anything. The second most important thing is that you need to have the community. And if you combine these two elements in your project to get there as soon as possible, by the way, you need to have this kind of solid strategy. And there's one platform that is launching now, their TGE, we call a token generation event. Their token will be generated to the public in less than 1 week. And this is a project that is building decentralized platform on a very well-known similar type of mobile application, the application has billions of users in the world. And they're taking the same procedures on a decentralized platform, blockchain, and giving this opportunity for people, instead of generating points and hearts and pictures on this platform, mobile centralized platform, now they're earning cryptocurrencies, they earn tokens. That's amazing strategy. If you have this kind of strategy in place, technology, solid technology, community on top of that, and people already know what they actually want to have there and will have there what they actually want to have. This is a basic, practically the best approach I have come across lately.
Dennis, if you want to engage with Pekka on a property tokenization project, how would you start today? What would your first conversation be, and how would we intrigue Pekka to jump on one?
Well, first of all, I don't know how much Pekka is into real estate.
I believe it's clear how much is he into anything beyond blockchain today. Yeah. So I believe Pekka is fully into crypto, isn't it? Am I right, Pekka, in saying that?
Well, yeah. You cannot be more than 100%, so 100.
Yes, but he still lives in a property. Yeah, obviously, he still is a user of a property, either a tenant or an owner. He spends money, call it fiat, call it crypto today, which is hard-earned money on a property. So I'm sure, as we always say, this touches everyone's life. And it definitely touches Pekka's life. So how would you engage with Pekka? Because you're both are at an understanding where you understand the technology fundamentals and how can it shape the future of an asset class. How can it shape a future of part of our lives? Yeah, which is a property. None of us lives in a tent today, hopefully. So. How would you engage in a discussion with Pekka about that?
That's a good question. But definitely, whether you're an owner or a tenant of a real estate property, you have. If you are a human being, you have touched upon real estate in one way or the other, right? And what you know is that it's hard to access for most people, as in one way or the other. But it's also a steady generation of wealth, or means of generating wealth for somebody. And I'm sure that in the last 6 years, Pekka, you also heard about tokenization of real estate, and the implications that it might have. And you, by knowing this, you probably heard that tokenization is solving the liquidity issues of real estate, or at least that's the future vision of it. Why anybody's building anything in that front. Now, what I would basically here say is that what we're doing with Ocean Point, for instance, is a way for anybody to either get exposure to real estate assets, to be able to own a fund or something that looks like a fund, or is essentially also operates as a bank. But it's not a fund, and it also operates as a bank in a way. So being able to become an owner through the ownership of tokens, being able to be an owner of a network that operates as a fund, provides liquidity to the real estate sector, offers the ability to tokenize real estate in a very simple manner. And by doing so, it also creates potential liquidity for real estate owners, whether that's owning your home or being a larger real estate investor. And today, what it's possible to do is basically just engaging with a real estate asset you own to earn part of that token supply to become an owner. So basically, like when we were mining Bitcoin in 2011, it was very easy to get a lot of Bitcoin, and it's become very hard now because you have this big Bitcoin miners. So it's impossible for you and me to mine anything. But here it's similar. It's like you can now get this token, BST tokens, with just a simple apartment, and it's easy. But in time, there might be larger asset owners that will, make the game in a way harder and harder to play, thus making it harder and harder to earn. Now, the question would be, is this something where, if we suppose that you are the owner of your home, is this something that would interest you? And, would you be engaging in the ability of getting a piece of a potentially future bank, in a way, a decentralized one, of course, by just engaging without a real risk? There's, like, if we would go into the details, which this podcast is not about, there's not much risk at hand right now. It's just, we tokenize your property, and you can stake the value of your real estate asset to earn some crypto on the side.
First of all, the tokenizing everything. I've seen a couple of these projects that are even their kind of elevator pitch is tokenizing everything. Also, property business, definitely, yes. To me, this is I need to understand a little bit more. Of course, Dennis, what you're just saying, but the way I believe in most of the cases it works, and it has been working fine. When we're talking about that, you have a utility token which provides utility to the network itself, and it's not like a security token that you need to be credit investors, and then you tokenize this kind of real estate property business, because there are these two mechanisms that are there already in the markets. That you have a utility token and then you have a security token, and they are different animals. The security token is not so far away from owning a stock, for example, and you need to be credit investor to access that and all these kind of things. But when it comes to utility token, and what you're saying is kind of a phase that you need to understand also the role of the utility token on the network. Is it also that it has this kind of utility that you can pay pay your electricity and water and repairment and these kind of things, and something else on the network, or it's just owning and selling and buying type of token. So that needs to be also there, introduced to the community clearly what's the utility it's bringing. But I'd rather jump already to NFTs because if you have the non-fungible technology matter data on the real estate and property, that's something that is kind of picking up fast now, and it's easier also for people to understand that you have this kind of non-fungible something because it's so close to share of stock itself, or share of owning the property, and then when it's non-fungible, it means that it's a unique unit of this asset, and then how do you want to be how the NFTs will be applied on this kind of property project? There are many mechanisms to do that, but all these things are something that is really important to understand when you are trying to understand research of how to tokenize the properties, how to tokenize anything physical asset, because it's a little bit different animal than tokenizing or having NFTs on digital ones.
So, Pekka, can I call you a fundamentalist first? Can I call you a fundamentalist who gets excited about advancements in technology, yet you're not a hype grower, neither are you a hype follower? Can I call that?
Oh, well, I'm okay with that.
Very good. So as a fundamentalist today, you're involved in several NFT projects and you've been in the past. What of those NFT projects did you see as the best utilization of NFT rather than a lose of space? Because I'm sure you are on different projects and you tell people, guys, this is nonsense. Why are you doing this?
First of all,
you see different projects.
Yeah, I never say that it's nonsense if it's genuine and real and people are trying to do something. I'd rather say that please consider a little bit different way and come back to me, for example. But if they're just like, let me explain one thing first, if you don't mind, guys.
Please.
I've been abroad many projects, many per week, sometimes many per day. And some people just want to have my old face on the website or somewhere, and they just want to get advantage that, okay, then they launch a token and it's they run with the money. So I need to make sure that it's real project and real team behind it and everything. So, but now when it comes to what is the successful project, the fundamentals are like really simple to understand. First of all, they need to have a clear understanding of the technology and how to design the technology, how to design the platform and execute it. Simple as this. And then again, the next one will be that what is your community? What kind of ecosystem and community you want to build around that? And then again, if it's something to do with the trading, for example, then the liquidity needs to be there. Decentralized finance and some elements of NFT marketplace and these kind of things. How to get the people to come there? How do they want to trade in there? Is there something that you use existing market making entities to first support you before the community takes it over, and this kind of blast needs to be there. And when it comes to the project that I'm involved today, there are quite many are early phase, but as long as I'm with them, I guide them towards this direction.
So if you want to decide today from all of your experience and all of what you've seen, one of the asset classes, be it art, be it music, be it a physical asset, be it a car, be it a piece of art on a car, what is the best an NFT can be used for? So what fits best within an NFT?
The first that will take the NFTs to the mainstream are gaming assets. Play to earn. Okay. Because why? Because the foundation is there. I mentioned about the game that was one of my portfolio companies or projects. They are implementing the existing procedures on decentralized platform. Today, just 1 month ago, Accenture announced, they published a research that the number of these video gamers, active video gamers today, at 2.7 billion active video gamers, and they are paying. They pay to play.
I have a 7-year-old of them in my house. So
okay. You just follow. You need to start to educate him or her to go to this direction, generate you money instead of spending your money. But that's the dilemma what there is, and there's a solution. A solution is that these play-to-earn platforms will take this, probably the whole NFT, whole Web3 to the mainstream, because the gaming elements, assets, and NFTs, as we call them, they are called skins on Web2, but they behave the same way. This, again, very wide topic, and we can go as deep as we want, but nothing is, when it comes to Web3 itself, the fully decentralized platforms, those blockchain platforms will not offer good enough solution, environment, technology for very effective Web2 platforms to be converted to Web3. Sometimes problems with the transaction fees, transactions per second, scalability, these kind of things. So it needs to be hybrid model. So the best and the successful process that will be there today and in the near future, there will be combination of Web2, Web3.
Okay, so you think it's not starting something from scratch, and it's a combination, a hybrid between those two phases of technology, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in this particular field of business, yes. When it comes to play-to-earn gaming platforms, yes.
So you mentioned NFTs when we're talking real estate. Why would you think a non-fungible token is of better use when we're talking a physical asset that can have a cash flow and many others fundamentally intrinsic, perpetual intrinsic value propositions, rather than a fungible token?
I'm not saying that it's really like more valuable or anything else. Like it's easier to understand.
Okay.
Because and also when it comes to regulations, it's the regulators are not jumping so much into NFTs today. At least they are not. Then they are try to research.
So it's the transition between today and when people understand that until we achieve maximum or utmost utility, and we are able to tokenize real estate assets and tokenize probably the assets themselves in the future, rather than currently what we do, which is tokenize economic rights. Yeah.
Well,
so as we get there with legislation, you mean?
Well, yeah, the legislation regulations, yes, but that's one very, very important topic. Let's not jump into regulations yet, because sure. That's another big topic. But yeah, first of all, again, to get this really like used by big masses of people, they need to understand what they're doing. They need to trust what they're doing. And if you have, the closer the mechanisms are, what they used to do, how they used to trade, how they used to own their money, the closer it is what this can offer them and the benefits it offers to them, that's the path, that's the roadmap that we need to understand. That's why, for example, just not long ago, I just talked a little bit on certain medias that we need to understand how we can have this kind of environment to combine these two environments, Web2 and Web3, how they collaborate, how they are bridging to make this actually going towards more Web3. We cannot say that they cannot be firewall in between. We need to bridge Web2 and Web3.
Dennis, do you feel that we are talking with what we're presenting to the world today, to what Pekka is mentioning here? Do you feel that we are talking the Web2 language in a Web3 code, or not?
I think what we're talking about is the experience, the user experience that people are used to, and just adding Web3 elements. And I think this is, in a way, how the ICO craze actually started. There was a forum, and there was an address, and you would send money, magic crypto money to it, and hopefully you would get some tokens in some time. And then it was being sophisticated more and more, so that the interface was much more intertwined with the Web3 backend, up to a point where we got DeFi, which has no backend, but it has a Web3 basically run system that relies just on smart contract and nothing centralized, if it's done correctly. And then we have the indexing of data, how it's done, because if you index information centrally and then serve it through an API, you have probably a asynchronicity of data that's on chain, and the version you have stored locally and then served to the end user. So then you have this discrepancy, and then you have projects like the Graph, which enables DeFi and Web3 projects to use it to index in a decentralized manner data. And I think that's for instance what we built with Blocksquare is using and relying on the subgraph extensively, both on Ocean Point as the D app as well as our marketplace product. And this is still being Web 2.
Okay.
Like the UI is still being hosted on Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud, while the actual solution but it's not being efficient enough to iterate, is using IPFS as a storage for a whole website or application. And you can actually today register a domain without owning it or without disclosing its ownership. It doesn't have to have a real entity to own a domain. You can buy a domain with a cryptocurrency like Monero. You can use that domain and create a website, deploy it on IPFS, and use blockchain as a backend. It would be a very simple type of application, web application, but it would only rely on Web3 infrastructure without any central authority being able to take it down. So that's what's already available. What's not available is the tools for developers to use and iterate much more efficiently than with Web 2. So this transition is actually going to take some time for the tooling to happen. It's a similar discussion on what to use. Do you build on Ethereum or do you build on something else? When you build on Ethereum, you have a whole ecosystem of developers, making it easier for developers to develop. And on other ecosystems, those tools need to be copied or rebuilt by the founding team. So it's much more centralized, the point of failure, because those tool set is being developed by the same entity, and if it fails, it just goes down everything with it. With Ethereum, it's kind of grown into this ecosystem that's very powerful, and the only thing weighing it down is transactional cost for now. But with what we're doing with real estate, I think that's not the big issue actually. It's more of an issue when it comes to startups getting started on the fabric, on the layer 1, and instead choosing a layer 2 solution because it's cheaper. For instance, what we're doing is, we spend, I'm sure, something between, around $1,000 per day just on infrastructure, but, somebody else might be spending obviously nothing if they use Polygon, for instance. But then the question is it decentralized? Anyway, I went into into very technical.
The whole idea is, here. If I put you together and in an open discussion, I believe we'll never end. So, and most probably that's the case. And I would like to listen to you forever. Huh? So, because every one of those subjects that we're passing by is a whole subject that can take 5-6 episodes just to discuss the shell of, without us really digging deep into what tech geeks would love of tech. Yet today we can't do that, and we need to start and still and cater to people like me, to people who are at a Web2 level of thinking, and they need a UI that is simple and a UX that they can probably understand. They're wired to do. Pekka, if today you are on one of your selfie casts that you do on Dubai Marina, and you want to pick a subject that you believe would intrigue the world and a message that you would want the world to hear today, what would it be and what would you tell them?
Oh, I'm revealing my tomorrow's video then.
Ah, great. So I get that one, guys.
Yeah, okay, but no problem. Actually, this is more and more last 2 weeks. Actually, it's been amazing what's happening in US. First of all, everybody was waiting the Bitcoin conference in Miami last weekend, because at that time they were biggest name in the scene speaking. But what was a little bit unexpected to me, at least, it was that there also government was there. Senator X explained that Bitcoin and these cryptos, that we need to regulate that. And now what's happening in US, both sides of the aisle are supporting this. Why? Because they understand that the voters are supporting this. This 40 million people own today crypto already in USA. I know 3 weeks ago, President announced that yes, we need to regulate in US. President announced that Biden that we need to regulate cryptos, and this is the major topic we need to understand. Again, my long time history being online, 94, 96, the first regulations on Telecom Act was announced 1996. Regulating first-time internet and broadband connections. So since those days, regulations have been with internet all the time. And before, the regulations were clear enough. There was no money on internet. Actually, there was no big business and there were no big investors. Now what's happening, another important phrase, what I'm saying, follow the money. Everybody knows that. When regulations will be with us, enough regulations will be enough. Not over-regulating, but enough. Big money will come to this business, and follow the money. Big investors are coming. We just learned a week ago that BlackRock is providing for the $10 trillion worth of asset managing customers opportunity to invest in cryptos. Same with Fidelity. Those two combined are $17 trillion. By the way, both of those companies just invest to circle their USDC with stablecoin. So putting all this together. So when we are in the phase, when the regulations are coming to the picture, big money will come into the picture. And this is happening so fast now, but please, it will be a storm. So positive storm, if you ask me. And when this is with us, then the technology platforms that are advanced today, they will be the winners. And another thing that's happening behind the scene today is that how these big investors are coming to this picture. They can use centralized exchanges or exchanges, DEXs, SEXs, as an interface. But what they have behind that, the backend system, they are decentralized cold storages, which are regulated and licensed again. And quite many of them are coming to Dubai, by the way, today. I know it already. So this is a system, what they have. They are using these best mechanisms, the best what they can get out of decentralized these tokens and coins on the networks platforms. And they invest a lot of money on this. And when this will happen, we are in the mainstream. That happened on internet. That's happening on blockchain and cryptos. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, the killer application also on blockchain and cryptos. It's money.
You mentioned 96 and the acceleration, or at that time when regulation legislation was coming. I've just finished a paper on the evolution of many things around us to get to where we are today. Dennis have read this paper before it's published, actually. the idea of that evolution and the acceleration that things are happening today is beyond whatever happened ever before, because things are progressing in a speed that have never been the case. Yeah, things used to progress, but it used to take us 10 years to get from a stage to another, from a phase to another.
But that's because of Web 2.
Sorry?
Right? That's because of Web 2 and the Internet of Information. We have that, built that very well. I mean, very well. It's, power is centralized. But in essence, I can get my point to you quick. We've been doing business, Makram and I, and collaborating for the last, 2 years? We had never met in person. But
we're planning never to meet, by the way. So,
but we've been able to share a common vision with Web 2, and we're dismissing Web 2s with Web 3. We shouldn't. We should be thankful because we can use it to spread information on a global level. Obviously, this becomes a bit, tricky when the centralized entities are blocking certain information from passing on. But you know
what, Dennis, I believe that centralized entities that are around us today will mostly support that eventually. Okay, because of two reasons. One, this is evolution. I believe that they have a cause and they have a vision. And I believe that most of people who rule technology today are good people. I believe that most of people who rule the world today are good people. That's my thought of what's running around us today. You've read the paper, and in it, I've talked about the evolution of records, the evolution of knowledge. How do we, and I believe that all knowledge in the world is cumulative. It's never eliminating, yeah? It doesn't mean that I don't. It means that I can absorb your knowledge and build on it. And you'll do that again on my knowledge that I've built afterwards. Now, although there's some parts of that are idealistic, I believe the acceleration of how things are happening is amazing, is huge. And we're moving from a phase to another before even understanding the previous phase. So we're becoming dinosaurs, and things are becoming outdated much faster than it used to happen. You used to acquire knowledge, and that knowledge was mainstream and the right knowledge for years. Now you acquire knowledge, and that knowledge is right for months. In the future, you will acquire knowledge, and it's outdated in probably days or maybe hours. And knowledge is everything around the world today. Knowledge and data, yeah? This is what we're all about. Now, in what you've said, when I remember that period, and when I remember I was a kid at that time, and when I remember the evolution of that, and how did we get here, I say that the future looks fancy. I love what we're getting into in the future. Not because everything is decentralized. Decentralization, similar to all of technology, is not the result that we seek. That is the tool that we seek to achieve much utilizing. So technology, I always say, is there to make humans' life better. It's not a fancy thing that is for technology. Yeah, let's talk technology. We look like people who are advanced and smart. No, tech makes our lives better and supposed to. And I believe it's making our lives better on several levels. I'll ask the question to both of you. I'll start with Pekka. Pappa Blockchain, what do you believe would be the technology that would define, or that most will define, the coming future for us and will touch our lives most? What would it be?
Financial services on blockchain.
Okay, so that's transfer of money, that's staking of money, that's everything, removing a bank and a central bank, the middleman and the regulator out of it.
Yeah, and now when we're talking about these biggest buzzwords today on Web3, NFT, play to earn, metaverse, you make money on each and every of these environments, or they are part of the environment to make money. And then on metaverse, for example, you have NFT marketplaces. You can have passive income by depositing, which we call staking, them on these platforms. Then you have other mechanisms to lend and borrow. And again, it's all about money, but that's the main thing. We democratize the monetary systems, the financial system, the currency systems, money.
Perfect. So you feel that that is what will touch our lives most going forward, and you feel that it will touch most our lives going forward because it will change how we understand money, how we think of it, and how we acquire it, and how we, yeah?
Not just that. We need to go to undeveloped countries, third world countries. Okay. First time ever, they are there in this position. They can be part of this by themselves. They can participate on money generation, on currency generation, on wealth generation, without asking any permission. And they get them directly to themselves, and then they can use it. And
actually, I agree perfectly at that point, 100%. There's a UK company. It used to be a startup. Currently, it's getting to a unicorn. It's called Bbox. What it does is it goes to countries that are considered third world countries and to non-developed nations, and it supports them with giving them the access to electricity and the internet. You know, in villages that has no electricity, no internet, in a very simple way. When I met one of the investors there and one of the executives, after he talked about it for 20 minutes, and I met him here in Dubai, I said, man, so you're planning to own the world afterwards? And he said, what do you mean? I said, so what you're trying to do is you create financial records for those people. Remember, those people have never had a credit score. But when you sell to them something like that and collect money on it or for it monthly, you're creating a credit score. He said, actually, this is exactly what we're doing. So they have now, I believe, Merrill Lynch, if I'm not mistaken, or JP Morgan, on their investor list, and they're invested with them because I believe they will own the future. And if you own the ability to fund that person, that villager, that farmer, whoever it is, my father, your father, any one of those, you are able to define his future, and thus you'll be able to define where most value is for the future in those countries. Amazing. You're right. I love it. Dennis, what do you feel will define our future? What's coming?
Oh, near term or like long term?
Look, currently there's no long term as it seems. Everything is happening. It's just happening.
I think there is a long term.
Dennis, by today evening.
Actually, Dennis always says he's captivated by today. He doesn't think of anything else. He always says that, and I love it in him. He's focused on what he can enact and change today. So what do you believe would change our lives most?
Well, I think, you know, the background or the backbone is already there of what is, and it's already, the wheels are already turning, so things are changing. And what you guys talked just now, it's exactly what is happening. We can, just by extending the internet access, we can extend financial inclusion, you know, across the whole planet. And I think that's important. I see a big threat to us as a civilization is everybody moving to big towns, big cities, mega cities, which we're doing, right? Most of the time. Why? Because of inclusion and opportunity, you know, opportunity, right? And if we're able to bring opportunity to outside of those areas and kind of decrease that gap, I think that creates a more sustainable future for you know, our metaverse. But this, what we're, you know, building is like a layer that maybe it's very primitive today, but in a, you know, if we go and advance technology in the future, and if we see every breath we take as a transaction, we essentially could imagine you know, metaverses, because you mentioned, Pekka, the buzzword of today, which are actually alternative realities, basically, because without blockchain, you cannot have reality. You don't have a ledger of of actions. But with the blockchain, a very much advanced one that we haven't envisioned or that doesn't exist yet, probably, everything can become a record, and you can have multiple realities living or existing at the same time in different in different worlds, basically. So that's kind of a long term where I think that this might turn into in time. But now I think economic inclusion of everybody, that's what we should strive to achieve, so that we stop moving to bigger cities and getting more and more overcrowded there, so that people don't commute 1 hour to their workspace every day, but instead they can take a bike and be at wherever they work in 5 minutes, and they can spend 2 hours a day more with their family. And I think if this can be achieved, I think we've won.
Or they put AR, VR on their head, and they are already in the office.
Or that's even better, right?
Pekka Kelkka, Pappa Blockchain, thank you so much for
my pleasure,
time
my
and
pleasure,
energy
guys.
today. What is the last thing you would like to tell our listeners in the whole world today?
The whole world, wow. First of all, if you're
the whole
not
world of the 5 people who will listen to us. So,
okay. The whole world, whole five, every one of them. First of all, jump into this scene now. Start to educate yourself, because this is the future, and future is with us today.
Oh, wow. Cool. Dennis, would you like to add a word after this, or no need?
No, I think he nailed it. Pekka
Kelkka, he earns the name Pappa Blockchain. I've seen him actually on a conference with Granny Blockchain. Probably she would.
No. Crypto Granny.
Crypto Granny, exactly. Sorry.
Anita Kalergis is a very, very dear friend of mine, and sometimes we on the stage together. It's my pleasure to know her. She's really professional on this scene. And actually, Anita is part of the Fin team. Actually, she's leading the Fin team. Anita and myself, the Fin team is, we're supporting Vesa Kivinen's art in here, the leading crypto blockchain artist. We do amazing things here in Dubai and all over the world.
We need to probably have her on our podcast in the future. Absolutely. Or broadcast in the future. Pekka Kelkka, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you,
guys, what we're trying to do is, because I'm sure you're bored of our faces, mine and Dennis's, we're trying to get you people who are much smarter than we are, similar to Daniel Gomez, who've been with us last week, Pekka Kelkka today, before that Simon Owen, and many of the people who are changing the world as we speak, each on his own territory. And when I talk, and I think that I'm talking to the whole world, irrelevant who's listening. Probably Dennis may be the only one listening sometimes. Doesn't always do either. So we're so excited that we're able to be part of this part of history, because I believe, of the future, because I believe that we are adding some value in a fundamental manner.
Absolutely.
Today, Pekka Kelkka, Pappa Blockchain, added so much value on the brief. Thank you, Pekka Kelkka, for being with us. Dennis Petrovicic and Makram Hani have been with you on another Block Chat part of the brief. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Makram. Thank you, Dennis.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.